I would like to start my talk today on Saturday morning with some storytelling. You know, we humans live in such stories. We invite others into our stories, but sometimes we can tell each other special stories. And these stories are liberating stories. These stories are freeing stories. These stories remind us of our forgotten sovereign essence. Would you like to hear such a story? This story was told to me by my grandfather when I was probably 5 or 6. He was my guru. I realized he's my guru. He's not just my grandfather. He happens to be the guru of many people. And I was very fortunate to be chosen by him amongst a herd of cousins to be the person who got the attention. Probably he knew that one day I'll be sharing this story with you. And then, you know, how children do it. Every time they go to their grandfather and they say, can you tell a story? And then we tell the grandfather which story. So I would tell him, tell me the story of the cow. Tell me the story of the cow in the ashram. And he would tell me. But each time he would tell me with such immensity, such seriousness, because the story seemed so simple. And it took me a couple of decades to get the profound message of that story. So let me share that story with you. And I'm going to just play out. Can I be a 6-year-old? Because I'm a 6-year-old inside. Is that okay? Do you have 6-year-olds? Are you ready to bring that out here? Let's bring the 6-year-olds out. Because sometimes a 6-year-old carries the wisdom of our soul. Sometimes when we come into our 40s and 50s and 30s, we start forgetting that. That's why storytelling is so important. And that's why it's so important to hug our 6-year-old self right now. Baba, Baba. Baba means grandpa, grandpa. Baba is also a Sanskrit, word for anybody who's a wise elder. So in India, everybody is a Baba. But my Baba was special, and I'd say, Baba, Baba, tell me the story of the cow. And Baba said, once upon a time, in an ashram lived a cow. And she had a perfect routine. In the morning, somebody would put a rope around her, and she would so lovingly walk out into the pasture, eat grass, and have a wonderful time. And then and she would not go anywhere. She'd be right there. She's such a dependable cow. And then in the evening, one of the students of the guru would go and put a rope around her and bring her back. And she would have eaten so well, and she would have given a wonderful morning milk and an evening milk, and her life was really great. Except stuff happens, and you couldn't find the rope one day. So when the student wanted to take her out to the pasture, she couldn't go. She wouldn't go. She didn't know how to go out, and she stayed hungry. So then there was no milk. And when there was no milk, there was no butter. Now that's a tragedy for yogic people, right? So we needed our cow to go out there. We wanted her to be healthy and happy, give us beautiful milk, give us wonderful butter, and life could go on. But she wouldn't leave the ashram. Forget about her leaving, forget about her coming back. Stuff didn't happen. So the students, they talked to each other, and then they went to their master and said, what should we do? So the master just kind of signaled to a senior student who got it. And the senior student ran and made a gesture of tying a rope around the cow. It's like, just like that. Clamped her little cowbell here. And then he started leading her. Come on, Nandini. Come on, Nandini. I would always say Nandini because that was the name of my cow. I'd say, what's her name? Nandini, Baba? And Baba would say, yes, like 10,000 years ago, everybody had the same name, like little Shunya's cow. But then the cow would come along with that imaginary rope, had a wonderful blast, but now she would come back home. So now, it's cold, it's raining, and she wouldn't come back home. So everybody went to the great master. That's why you need a great master to tell us these things. And the great master again sent the senior student, who then again tied an imaginary rope, and back she came home. And then Baba said, that's the end. This story would stay with me and stay with me And I asked him again and again, and then Baba would say with a very deep, sad voice, and that was the end. And it was his voice that was the end. I thought this was fun. We figured it out. We have a solution. We have an imaginary rope, and we're going to take the cow out and bring the cow back in, and all is well. Shouldn't Baba say, and then they lived happily ever after. And instead Baba would say, and that was the end. Until I realized that I was that cow. And society puts an imaginary rope around me and takes me to the pasture it wants me to go. And once I have agreed to those ropes, I don't even need conscious agreements. They become unconscious belief systems. And back and forth I go. Giving the milk that is required of me, as in just giving my love, giving my affection, giving my knowledge, giving my teachings, giving my everything. And then you can go get your grass. But the rope was in somebody else's hand. And that is why that was the end. Because the cow didn't even need a physical rope anymore. The invisible rope in her mind was enough for her to know that she had no freedom to move around and find her own darn posture until somebody was shown to be leading her. Anybody want to break free your inner cow? Thank you. That is why you will agree this was the end. This was the end. This was the end of the sovereignty, the freedom, and the right to determine your own life script. And great teachers, what they do is they just leave you in a dramatic moment, which is like that was the end. And it took me a lot of dark alleys in my life where I found that, oh my God, I was just moving in a conditioned manner because of these invisible belief ropes, because of which I was behaving in a certain manner, predictable, and I'm going to say completely diminishable. But I'm not that, and you are not that, and no living being is like that. We are meant to lead completely beautiful, free, self-determining lives.